Hello, good evening, namaste. And tonight we are working on the solar plexus. This is also one of the three lower chakras that are still dealing with the animal aspects of us and the earthly connection that keeps us grounded. So the thing is with the solar plexus is I think more people will be a little more familiar with how it feels with clarity. So I'm going to explain a few things to you. I've got my notes. So with our solar plexus, which is right there at our navel in the spinal region, the spinal area right behind our navel. So when you get that feeling when you're getting ready to do something and there's like anxiety and excitement build up, that feeling that you get in the gut and in your stomach, that's your solar plexus. So that's what I mean by we all have had a feeling of how, an experience of how it feels. We just say, well, you got butterflies in your stomach. And then once you've passed over the situation that brought about the feeling, that anxiety or whatever, um, it subsides. It becomes lessened and then it just fades away. So that's your solar plexus communicating with you. So, um, so the solar plexus, um, that energy has a representation of 10 petals. So this is 10 aspects of it that you will be familiar with when I read them off. So one is of spiritual ignorance, treachery, jealousy, shame, aversion, delusion, thirst, inertia, sadness, and fear. Now, fear is last here, and I have a feeling that the reason fear is listed last is because that transformation that happens within you when you work with your solar plexus is it's a transmutation, and when you deal with the fear, all of the others sort of fade away. You can deal with one or two of the other aspects, but you can still have a large amount of fear. Do it because of negativity, perhaps. Um, so, with that being said, what we will work on next week, I'll go in more details as to how we can deal with that. But right now, I just want you, just like the other two chakras, just to become aware and familiar with what the solar plexus is um, and how to recognize it within you. So during puberty, during the ages between, let's say, 14 up into our 20s, maybe 20, 21 years old, we're dealing with this. This is when peer pressure has the most control of you. You're dealing with, self-identity coming from your sacral, but it's more defined. um, Fashion, the latest brands, usually those teen magazines that we would get, hairstyles, colors. A lot of teens are wearing different colors now. This is coming from the solar plexus. Although it's pretty, some of the designs that we do in our hair, but the root cause of it is going to be some sort of fear that you may not fit in one group, fear that you're rebelling against another group, and all of this is internal. So it may not necessarily be a group of physical people, but this is internal battle within yourself. I still want my purple hair, but I don't want purple hair because it's the latest fashion or whatever. I just like the color purple, and now that we are able to dye our hair different colors, I like my purple. I want my purple hair. But I also realize that um, it mustn't come from um, a place of me being afraid to have my hair, maybe gray, because my hair is gray. I do put henna in it, not that I'm afraid of gray, because you can look at several pictures that I have and it's there. I'll let it grow out and then I'll cover it and let it grow out. I don't have purple because of the chemicals. I haven't found a natural purple tint for my hair yet, or else it'd be purple. But just understand when you do these things on the outside of you that you are not covering or not dealing with some inner work. So if it's coming, you want to express yourself, by all means. But if you're actually working on yourself and you're on a spiritual journey, just notice your behavior and why you're doing certain things. Your solar plexus will show that. It's a fire energy. It's one of the Shaktis. This is Kali. It's the Kundalini. That's why you feel that. She's rising up in you saying, hey, is this the right thing to do? Hey, pay attention to this and make sure this is correct. Hey, did you practice? Maybe that's why you feel a little uneasy and you've got butterflies in your stomach. Hey, where's that confidence? You said you were going to have confidence. And if you didn't follow through with what you said, Kali shows up and reminds you. So the solar plexus is that Kali Kundalini that's rising and within you. It can be a protector. It can also be a reminder. So to chastise you on things that you didn't do. So you notice some people get nervous, stage fright. People who are public speakers, they still may get nervous, but they go do it anyway. That's a reaction, a colleague going, are you sure you're ready? Not out of fear, but are you sure you're ready? And then if you have not practiced and you said you were going to practice, that energy comes up and it reminds you, hey, you didn't practice or else I wouldn't be here. And if so, I'd be cheering you on. So the solar plexus is very important, very, very, very key that in your spiritual journey, you don't try to jump and past that because it will cause havoc. It'll wreak havoc later. When you get into the heart chakra, which I'll talk about tomorrow, you'll understand why. Because right now we're still dealing with ego. And when that energy comes up um, after the solar plexus, you'll be in your heart. And a lot of the negativity, when you work deeply within the your lower three chakras, you're releasing a lot of negative energy, but you are also replacing it and you're fine tuning all of the better qualities within yourself, keeping a balance. The negative becomes the backseat driver, the brakes maybe on a vehicle that when you need it, you can apply pressure to it, but you don't want to drive your car with your feet on the brakes and the gas pedal at the same time. So um, so with our solar plexus, it also brings about when it's not, and there's some blockage, and and it's imbalance with a lot of negativity and fear. You'll have issues with self-worth, self-esteem. Uh, you'll be hypersensitive. Sometimes people don't, not able to be to take compliments, even not just critiquing them and saying something's bad. Some people can't even take an honest compliment, like, I like the way your dress looks. Oh, you're just saying that. That's the solar plexus. That's that imbalance there, the hypersensitivity, um, fear of criticism. I just said that. A need for external validations, and then a fear of rejection. So um, that nervousness that you feel, that would be a fear of rejection. You're afraid that if you go out and you do something, you'll be rejected. And how would you handle that? If you know you well enough and you've done some work within yourself and your solar plexus, you wouldn't be afraid of how people would be thinking of you, and you wouldn't even care to a certain degree. So that's the beginning of working with the solar plexus. And the vibrational tone for that, for your solar plexus, is Ra. Ra. Let's see. It's Ra. So our root was Lam. Our sacral was Vam. And now our solar plexus, Ra. Ra. But that vibration, you feel that vibration. You feel it here. Once we start working on them, and we're going to be doing them all together, you'll feel that energy rise up within you and you'll be pulling it up. We'll have some breath work that we'll be doing as well. And so you do that. You can start off with maybe tonight. 108 times just to practice with it. You can even look up other sounds that come along. You know, you can probably find some things on YouTube, but we'll go in more details with this next week. I didn't mean for this to be so long. But anyway, that's just the beginning of the solar plexus. Maybe a different way of looking at it, but um, trust me, it's something to work with. We can't skip it. Can't look over it and hop over into all the fancy stuff. You got to really dig deep and into these three lower chakras, because as you deal with the root and the sacral with your solar plexus, it's like cleaning out a pot, and you got the little corner edges all around, or in a glass, and you see little scrubby stuff, and you're trying to clean that out. This is what the solar plexus, you don't want to leave any of those remnants behind. And if you do, they will show up later, and then you'll be struggling with the ego. And if you've done any Kali work, you'll know what I mean. So that's with all that, I say good night.